Today we will be going to the far-off island of Madagascar, where I will tell you a tale of sibling rivalry. This tale is called The Three Princesses and Prince Adrianmohamona. Come join me. Hi everyone, my name is Heidi. I'm a Malaysian author and welcome back. If you recall, back in episode 27, we had a deep look into the themes contained in the Bawang Merah, Bawang Putih story. I'll put the link down below if you want to have a look. So if you recall, one of these themes is sibling rivalry. Now, sibling rivalry, of course, makes an appearance in many fairy tales and folk tales. It's because siblings are always vying against each other for attention, for wealth, for a good spouse, and we're always fighting with each other, right? These tales really hit home because we all know that in real life, at least for those of us who have siblings, we are constantly vying for our parents' attention. We're competing against each other in some way or another. The story I'm going to tell you today illustrates this quite clearly. This tale is from Madagascar and it's called The Three Princesses and Prince Adrianmohamona. Let's listen to the story. Once there were three princess sisters who lived in a small village on the island of Madagascar. The three sisters were quite pretty, but the most beautiful, the most ravishing sister was the youngest sister. And this, of course, made the older two sisters quite jealous. They were always trying to put her down. One day, a gentleman prince from the next village arrived and caused quite a stir because he was easily the most handsome, the most dashing man that the maidens in that village had ever seen. He arrived carrying a golden staff. Prince Adrianmohamona went up to the king and he told the king that he wanted to marry one of his three daughters. When the three princesses heard of the prince's intention to marry one of them, they fainted, which apparently is quite common in a lot of these Malagasy tales. So they fainted, and when they were revived, they quickly got ready to receive the prince. They bathed themselves in perfumed water, they dressed in their best clothes, they put on their jewelry, and they waited. While they waited, they made declarations. The eldest princess declared that if I marry the prince, I will make a pretty mat out of little reeds and put it under the mattress so that we can both rest there. The middle princess said, if I marry the prince, I will make a mat from fine straw to serve as our bed. Then the youngest princess comes up and she says, as for me, the sweet potato I'm going to eat is going to be our child. I don't know what that means. So the sisters patiently waited for the prince to come courting. They waited till noon, but he did not come. They waited till sunset, and still he did not arrive. By the time the moon was high in the sky, the sisters gave up and went to bed. The next day, when they got up, the eldest sister said, instead of waiting for the prince to come here, let's go and pay him a visit. And the two other sisters agreed. So they got ready and there was a grand procession from their house to where the prince was staying. So the three sisters got ready, they got all their servants together and they began to walk to where the prince was staying. As they walked, they decided to hold a beauty pageant, a beauty competition, which apparently is also quite a common theme in these Malagasy stories. So the girls decided to have a beauty pageant, but the two older sisters forgot that actually the most beautiful and stunning sister was the youngest sister. So of course they lost in every category, which made them upset and low. The elder sister said to the middle sister, how dare she beat us? We're older than her. We're entitled to this. And the middle sister said, we cannot allow her to win the heart of the prince. So the two older sisters got together and came up with an evil plan. They called the younger sister over and they told her, "Younger sister, we are older than you and we have more right to marry the prince than you. Therefore, you must pretend to be our slave." Even though the younger sister really didn't want to pretend to be their slave, she agreed because her older sisters were asking her to do that. The two older sisters cut off her beautiful long hair. They covered her face with dirt to make her ugly, and they forced her to wear rags. "There, you really look like our slave now," said the middle sister. "We shall call you Sandroy." And that was the youngest sister's new name. She was called Sandroy. Fortunately, a rat saw what was happening and decided to help the youngest sister. When the two older sisters had left, the rat approached the youngest sister, who was crying. "Tell me, girl, do you really want to marry the prince?" asked the rat. And the younger sister said, "I want a fair chance." So the rat replied, "I will help you then." So the rat used her magical powers. It could have been a him, but I'm going to use her. The rat used her magical powers to restore the youngest sister's long, beautiful hair. She also gave the sister a magnificent dress and, get this, beautiful slippers to wear. When the two older sisters arrived at the accommodation of the prince, they did not notice that their youngest sister was beautiful again. They did not notice that her hair was long and lustrous and that she was wearing a new flowing gown and beautiful slippers. The prince, however, noticed his beautiful girl carrying the bags of these two older sisters. So he called her over. He asked her, "What's your name? Are you really the slave of those two sisters?" The youngest sister explained truthfully that, "No, I'm not their slave. I'm actually the youngest sister. They forced me to wear rags and they cut my hair. However, a rat came to my rescue and here I am." Upon hearing this, the prince became angry and banished the two evil sisters from the village. "You have acted wickedly against your sibling. I cast you out of this village," said the prince. The two sisters were chased out with boos and jeers from the villagers before transforming into little lizards. Sandroy, the youngest sister, married the prince, and together they lived happily ever after. The end. This story was taken from the book Stars and Keys, Folktales and Creolization in the Indian Ocean. As with the other story I told you from Guam, The Maidens Who Saved Guam, that's in episode 22, link down below if you want to see that. You might be wondering why I've included this folktale in the series. Well, as Madagascar shares the Austronesian language, I've decided to include stories from this island, and boy, do they have some pretty amazing stories. So the overall theme of this particular fairy tale is, of course, sibling rivalry, in particular the intense competition between the two older sisters and the youngest. In tales featuring sibling rivalry, which includes these two famous Indonesian folk tales, which I will tell you in future episodes. They're called Molek and Tattadu. In tales featuring sibling rivalry, the order of birth plays an important role. It can be said that the two older unmarried sisters may have a sense of entitlement over the younger sister and feel that it is unfair if the younger sister were to win the heart of the prince. They do not want to lose face to their younger sister, and this made them collaborate to ensure that the younger sister does not attract the attention of the prince. The two older sisters actually actively engage in a hostile move to stop the younger sister from getting the prince. In the middle of the story, we can see that the youngest sister is bullied and forced to become a slave. She receives some magical help in the form of the rat, who regrows her hair and gives her a dress and slippers to wear, which of course bears another striking resemblance to the Cinderella tale that we know. Even the name the older sisters give to the younger sister, which is Sandroy, it sounds very similar to the French version of Cinderella called Cendrillon. In other versions of the story, there's actually a ball which the youngest sister attends, and of course she accidentally leaves her slipper there for the prince to find. So again, there is a slipper test in this story. According to the author of this book, Stars and Keys, there are three things in the story which is common in Malagasy tales. First, the fact that the maidens faint, the sisters faint upon hearing that the prince wants to choose one of them as their wife. Secondly, the sisters sort of reciting or declaring out loud their wishes for an exalted husband. Remember, the youngest sister said, "If I were to marry him, this sweet potato that I eat will become our our child. I'm not sure what that means, but if you do know, please let me know in the comments. And then finally, there is this presence of a beauty pageant. So apparently these three things are quite common in Malagasy tales. I'm not really sure because this is one of the very few Malagasy tales that I've looked at, but I will definitely look out for these elements in other Malagasy tales and I'll let you know. So what did you think of this story? I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you like this video and my other videos, please do like and support my channel. Please do support me in my mission to get these fairy tales out there. That is the end of this video, but don't go just yet. Do check out Bawang Putih Bawang Merah in episode 27 and the Chinese Cinderella tale of Yishan in episode 28. I'll put the link down below. Take care and I'll see you in the next video.